There we go. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Lifeline show presented by Shoot Your Shot Sports. And it's playoff season. So, you know what that means?
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Oh, that's my favorite. I love it.
All right. Yeah, great quote. Playoffs? But I'm Richard Chicago, and I'm joined by one and only Jay Baller. Kick it over to you real quick.
Yeah, man. It's finally here. We've put 13 weeks of hard work in. Hope everybody's been listening. If you have been, you've got some great tips. It's big congrats if you made it to playoffs, guys. I've been doing this a long time. I don't make the playoffs every year. I've only won one championship, as I stated in the first ever episode we did here. So we're coming in. It's a different monster, and that's why today's going to be a different show. Welcome the questions. Welcome any feedback, and as always, we're here. So that's what I got for us today. I know that there's a handful of people out there listening. I want we got a little piece of hardware that I pay for. I want Steinweg to know that I'm coming for him. This is the intimidation factor. I know that trophy sits on your mantle right now. It's coming back here to 2801, Drew. So yeah, wish everybody the best of luck. Hope that this week's helps you out. And hey, only one thing in mind, guys: championship time. So without further ado, let's kick it over to you, Richie.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really pumped. I actually made it to the playoffs with one of my leagues. So I only won one time, and it was with my team, 40-year-old virgin. Or yeah, it was 40-year-old virgin. That was a great pun. But yeah, I'm ready to do it this year again. So but before we get into this, tonight's show is sponsored by Thrive Fantasy, the daily fantasy sports app for player props. We found on Google Play and App Store. You could download it, use promo code Lifeline. They will match you up to $50 with the minimum $20 deposit. So, JB, let's get on to this, man.
Matt, I wanted to do this forever. This is always my favorite part of the season. It's 13 weeks of a drive, but you get back down, you're winning. You win or you're out, and you don't get that kind of feeling anymore as a post 30-year-old male. I don't do organized sports. I play Madden online, and that's about it. So fantasy football is the only competition I get. So, guys, this is the only playoff primer you're going to need to watch. I promise you, leave here, you're going to know exactly what you need to do. Again, we can't control everything, but what we can control, you need to be doing, because it can come down to the littlest point. And trust me, you don't want to lose by a half point. You don't want to lose by a point. You want to get either killed or you want to win. That's the only way the playoffs go here. So I'm pumped. Glad to hear you're in the playoffs, Rich. I'm packing up two teams. So it's I will say it's been a long time since I've had two teams in the playoffs, and I really like my squads, mainly because I've followed a lot of my own advice, and I know that some people out there that are in my league haven't. So I don't know what they're thinking, but yeah, if you've made it this far, you've done it for a reason. You've put attention, you put some time into it, you put some effort into it. Don't let that all go to waste, guys. Do not let the time and effort you put go to waste. The late Wednesday, early Wednesday mornings, late Tuesday nights. You've watched football on Mondays. You've watched football on Wednesdays. You've watched football on Tuesdays, Sundays, Thursdays. God, we almost watch NFL football every single day. So, again, this is where you need to get down to the nuts and bolts of fantasy football to win yourself a championship. It's a new season, so you win, you go home. The strategy you used to get here is not what's going to win it. This is a very different time of the year. Please take this information, make the decisions yourself. Don't let what I'm saying be, hey, this is what I'm going to do. Even as much as I do, I recommend taking my information, going out to the internet, looking at, hey, there's analysts everywhere. And they'll talk about three different guys. They'll talk about one player. So don't just take it from me. Listen, look at a couple different other things. There's somebody out there doing the legwork for you, and take that information, make an educated decision, and hey, put yourself in the best position to win. Again, there's a few things that I recommend highly that are outside of, hey, should I play this guy or the other guy? And there, again, I'm going to get the five things you should go into that you can control over the next 3 weeks if you're going to stay into the fantasy football season. So, touch my my little thing here, but no, the 5 pieces that I'm going to recommend everybody do. First off, start your studs. Don't get cute. Some matchups out there that aren't exactly the best matchup. Play the guys that got you there. I went into a season a couple years back Decided it was smart to sit one of my stud wide receivers. Didn't like the matchup. I think he was going up against Jalen Ramsey. It didn't matter. He had his 100 yards. He got his touchdown. So play the guys that got you there. Don't get cute. Start your studs. Again, been talking about this for a few weeks now. Get your running back handcuffs. If you've got guys like Dalvin Cook that have been a little injured, Zeke, we're not sure what Zeke's going to, the touch count's going to look like for him in the back end of the year. Get those running backs because those guys are going to almost be as much replacement, almost provide as much replacement points as the starters themselves. Another thing you might not have been doing, know the matchups. Know not only your matchups, but know the matchups of the guy you're playing against. You might have an RB2 that you don't love. Miles Sanders going up against the New Orleans defense this weekend. New Orleans has the number one defense in football. Grab a guy off the waiver wire like J.D. McKissick, who's likely going to be filling in for Antonio Gibson. It's not the worst call this weekend. So know your matchups and know the matchups of your opponent. That's going to be really important here when I come to number 5. One thing, hey, you probably don't do it much, but check the weather. You do not want a kicker. Guys, it's December. You don't want a kicker kicking in the snow. You don't want a guy kicking in the wind. You don't want a guy kicking when it's 10 degrees. That ball don't go anywhere. So know the weather. Hey, I'm talking morning of, double check where the team's playing. Google Atlanta or, hey, no, more like Buffalo. What is the weather in Buffalo today? Can I play Bass as my kicker? If it's 35, 40 degrees and up, no wind, no snow, you're in good shape. If not, try to find a guy. You want a guy kicking in the dome. You want a guy kicking in the warm weather. You don't want a guy kicking in the rain. If it's supposed to rain in Miami, you don't want a kicker down there. Jason Sanders has been a baller. If it's raining in Miami, it's going to be a hard day for him to kick. And then the last one, play the waiver wire strategically. I've been telling you guys, save the waiver wire pick until this week. This is why. Because you know the matchups of your opponent. If you're able to go in there and you know that he has a guy. Perfect example, I'm dealing with this week. Guy I'm going up against. He has Antonio Gibson. I don't like Antonio Gibson's chances of playing at all. Bumped his toe, was instantly doubtful. I haven't seen one positive report come out. I think Antonio Gibson is going to be out. I think the guy that I'm playing against is going to pick up J.D. McKissick. Well, guess what? I'm going to go in and I'm going to snake J.D. McKissick right from him. I'm not going to let him even make it to his starting lineup. He's going to be forced to pick up Ty Johnson, running back for the New York Jets, who might be playing, might not be playing, or forced to play somebody on his bench like a James White, who's super inconsistent. So play strategically. Even if you're not going to be starting the guy, pick him up. You want to prevent the other player from getting him. There's a couple of guys we'll talk about today that fit that mold. And again, it's win or go home. That waiver wire pick's not going to do you any good next week if you lose. So leave it at that. Hey, do what you wish, but I guarantee, don't be wasting the waiver wire on a kicker. Don't waste the waiver wire on a defense, unless it's Cleveland. Go in there, find the best player that the best player on there that potentially the other guy could take, and try to get him in front of him.
Awesome. So who would have thought the kicking and the whole weather piece, does that affect QBs as much when they're throwing all that, or how's that all work?
It does not affect the QBs as much, but that's a good segue because I do want to dive into the QB stuff, but it doesn't affect them as much. It's I saw Nick Foles throw five touchdowns in the snow in Buffalo a handful of years ago with the Eagles. So I used to think it did. I don't love it, but again, if I'm on a fringe and I have a couple quarterbacks and one guy's throwing in a snowstorm, I'm likely going to bench him. But Tom Brady's throwing in a snowstorm, I'm not going to bench him. If Russell Wilson's throwing in a snowstorm, not going to bench him. Aaron Rodgers has been playing up in Green Bay for 16 goddamn seasons. Like he's clearly done just fine from a statistical standpoint. He's won plenty of people their fantasy league. So I don't think it affects as much. But again, I do want to dive into the quarterbacks. So if you don't have any other questions, let's dive into the quarterbacks.
Let's go.
Perfect. So here, guys, these are my rankings this week. You can go online. Yahoo's got a ranking system. ESPN's got a ranking system. I call this the Jordan ranking system in the Cowboys colors just because they play tonight. So I like Aaron Rodgers this week. I think that he's hot. Him and Devontae Adams, I don't think anybody can guard those. Can guard Devontae Adams when Aaron Rodgers is throwing the ball. So I like him as my top guy. Again, likely most of these guys are going to be owned. The one guy that's probably not going to be owned, guys, is Matt Stafford. The reason I like Matt Stafford so much is he is coming off a great week. They got a new coach there. The attitude in Detroit's a lot different. You can just tell. Sorry, Chicago Bears fans. Sorry, Rich. But it's it's an anchoring effect that happens when a new coach comes in. Guys like to play better. They're having more fun. They're coming off a big win. They're going up to Green Bay. It's going to be a shootout. I like Matt Stafford this week if he's available in your leagues and you don't have one of these guys in the top 12. I bring Taysom Hill in the top 12 because he's throwing the ball. He's running the ball and he's throwing the ball. And nothing trumps a running quarterback that can also throw touchdowns. That's why I like guys like Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson there in 4 and 5. Again, Murray his running has been off since he hurt his shoulder, but he's got it there. If you've had Kyler Murray, he's gotten you to the playoffs. And hey, Big Daddy Drew, I appreciate it. Skin's looking fresh. It's the light. It's this light camera. It does wonders. But no, a guy that is not getting rated as high as some others is Deshaun Watson. If you guys look at Deshaun Watson's stat line last 5 weeks, it's otherworldly. He's playing as hot as anybody in the league right now. I'm not playing around with that. He's a quarterback. He's going to go out there. He's trying to win football games. Took a tough loss this week. Again, you most likely own these guys, but I didn't. He's got a tough matchup. I don't want anybody thinking, oh my goodness, I got my stud quarterback. Should I not be sending them out there? So again, a couple of rules that apply here. Play your studs. But if you're sitting on somebody that's outside of this top 12, take a look at Stafford. Take a look at Taysom Hill. Tannehill's available in a couple of leagues. He's got a great matchup. I think he had another 30-point lead last week. But again, quarterback's really important. So not a lot of injuries to report here on the quarterback front. But from a waiver wire standpoint, if you can stash him, if you need him, Stafford's there. I think he's a great pickup this week.
Awesome. So we had a quick question come in. So it is regarding 2 guys you have on your list. Are you trusting Herbert or Kyler Murray going into the playoffs? Or should we move on with more of a veteran like Stafford or Cousins?
So again, guys, I didn't play by this rule. The play who got you there. Again, unless there's an injury, unless something pops up that is really concerning. Herbert got absolutely owned by Bill Belichick. It happens. The guy's a rookie. He's been riding high 8-9 weeks now as a fantasy quarterback. Granted, they haven't got the wins, but as a fantasy quarterback, he's been excellent. Kyler Murray is the same. Again, it's I don't think they've gotten the other teams have figured out that Arizona defense. I just think that they've been a little more honest with Kyler not running the ball due to that shoulder injury. And last week, again, I think the shoulder looked fine. Again, I'm no doctor. I'm not in those those medical rooms. But again, with those 2 guys, I'm going with who got me there. I would be very, very upset if I put Kirk Cousins or Matthew Stafford, perennial year-over-year fringe starters, into my lineup, and they go out and toss a dud because they were hot or I got too cute or I thought I was smarter than the system. I still like Herbert. I still like Murray, as seen on the rankings there. There is some cause for concern with those guys, but I'm going to need to see. Again, Murray still put up 20 points a week. I think he had a one bad week in there, but he's still salvageable. He's still as good as he's still as good as a good Stafford week. Matthew Stafford's not going to throw 4 touchdowns every week. Murray, that's a pass first offense. Herbert, that's a pass first offense while playing from behind, and he's got his best weapon at quarterback. So I'm still sticking with those 2 guys.
Your sound went off.
Unless they throw up another bad performance here in week 14. So I'm still sticking with those guys.
Perfect. Awesome. So there's also a lot of action from the running back spot. Injuries, guys returning from injuries and timeshares. Can you bring us up to speed on all those running back situations?
Yeah, injuries, people coming back. It's been this was a big week from a lot of Clyde Edwards-Helaire was a last minute scratch. You got Christian McCaffrey looking like he's going to come back. So yeah, let's start with the injured because we got some question marks out there, and I've dug all day to try to get more information for you guys. As we know, injury reports come out on Wednesdays, not on Tuesdays, so it's kind of hard. But the biggest one I think is Joe Mixon. He's got 5 question marks around him. He might as well be the Riddler because we're not real sure what's going on there. They've been hush. The big season's out the window. They're not going to be playing for anything. They've done this 2 times in the past, though. Mixon's came back late season, end of the year extremely strong, went into the year, the next year right. I think it's professional football. They say they said last week if he's 100% healthy, he will be out there. They didn't throw him on the IR right away. Again, this is all speculation. Keep an eye on it. But if he is playing, he's in your lineup. He's got a cake matchup against the Dallas Cowboys, and it's going to be a real big bummer if you don't get to use Joe Mixon in the playoffs because he could really go off against those guys just like Dalvin Cook did. So keep an eye on Joe Mixon. Report comes out tomorrow. Keep an eye on it. If he's not there, Gio Bernard, he's going to slide right in. He's going to do just fine against that porous Cowboys defense. Another guy that I was pretty sure wasn't going to play last week was Josh Jacobs. He is dealing with a hip as well as an ankle. And it doesn't look, based on John Gruden's words today, that he's going to be making it back this weekend. And it really starts to get crazy because he didn't put a practice in last week. If he doesn't log a practice this week, the Raiders didn't go to a short week Thursday. So really bad time to be a Josh Jacobs owner. I like Devontae Booker. He wasn't excellent this weekend. They wasn't, again, not a bad matchup. Again, was the Jets. That game was weird the whole way until the end when the Jets lost. That was the only thing normal that happened that game was the Jets lost last second. But I like Booker if Jacobs doesn't go. I think he's startable. He's somebody I would monitor some of the ranking systems that you follow based on who else you have on your team. Every team's a little bit different. But I'm starting to worry that Jacobs might miss 2 more weeks. We could see him move to the IR. It would be, it's not looking good. Not looking good for the ankle injury in a year where ankle injuries have been causing people 3 to 4 weeks. In terms, you got McCaffrey missed 6. So again, it's not looking bright for Josh Jacobs. New one that happened last night or yesterday during the day during our nice, lovely 4:00 game. Antonio Gibson, 3rd carry. What we thought was an ankle actually ended up being a toe. And toe is the absolute worst injury for a position player, and really for anybody that has to put cleats on and go and run around on a turf field with a bunch of 350-pound men. The toe, if anybody's ever stubbed their toe or broke their toe, know that it is almost impossible to walk on that thing if there's anything wrong with it. He was immediately ruled doubtful coming out of that game, and I have not seen a positive report yet today where they think he can suit up again this weekend. Toe injuries take 2 to 3 weeks. It's all the way back. I remember as a Cowboy fan, Michael Irvin, dude dealt with turf toe all the time, and it was 3 or 4 weeks, and that it's never healed until it's completely healed. Again, I don't know the extent of the injury. Keep an eye on the reports, but a toe this time of the year, cold weather, football, not a good time, not a good injury to take. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, again, I talked about him a couple minutes ago. He was actually sick. He had a stomach flu, wasn't able to eat all week, lost some weight, and the Chiefs were actually worried about his health from a nutritional standpoint, and therefore went ahead and scratched him this weekend. He's back. Said he's feeling better. Said he's looking better. He's eating. I fully expect him to be back in the lineup this week. Everybody's had the flu. You had the flu for 5 days. You come out of the flu, you lost 10 pounds, and you wish you could keep it off. But the second you eat, drink some water, it comes back on. So I expect Helaire to be out there. Frank Gore dealing with a concussion. Ty Johnson came in, looked pretty good. Concussion protocol, you guys know that runs all week. We'll see where that goes. But at his age, again, I don't want to speculate, but the Jets don't have a ton to play for. They might want to give this Ty Johnson a shot, see what he can do. Again, Gore's in his last season, I think, so he could want to get back out there again. It's up to the doctors and the scientists to figure that out, whether he's going to be playing or not. So keep an eye on that one. That's going to be a questionable all week until we see if he's able to log practices. And then another one, he's played every week. He's only missed 1 week. Todd Gurley. I'm telling you right now, do not play Todd Gurley in your lineup. Play Todd Gurley in your lineup, it's your fault. There's no reason to be playing Todd Gurley anymore. Ito Smith looks better than both those guys. Again, I'm not real comfortable starting any Falcons running backs right now. There's nobody that's really stood out and been the go-to guy. It's a passing offense. You got Julio, you got Ridley, you got Hayden Hurst, you got Russell Gage. And they're playing from behind all the time because the defense is awful. So you heard it here. Do not play Todd Gurley. Please don't play Todd Gurley. I please do not play Todd Gurley. Returning, we got CMC coming back. Christian McCaffrey is a high hopeful by Matt Rule. They had a bye week. They're also dealing with a ton of COVID outbreak down there. We'll talk about a couple of receivers here in a minute. That'll be one to keep an eye on. I don't expect that game to get canceled because they're not in playoff contention. It'll likely get played with whatever they're able to put on the field. Not going to matter. If you made it to playoffs and you got Christian McCaffrey on your team, I commend you because that's going to, you're in for a rude awakening. It's going to be nice, a good rude awakening. I would wish I was sitting back on McCaffrey. A lot of people that had him did not make playoffs, so consider yourself lucky. And then we got the Ravens running backs. Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins back in the mix. They'll be playing here in, 25 minutes against the Cowboys. Rumor on the street is J.K. Dobbins is going to become the lead back. He will get the biggest bulk of touches tonight. Again, we've heard that for weeks. We've heard we're going to get him more involved for weeks. He's had a couple great games. We don't know. It's hard to tell. We'll talk about him here in a minute from a waiver wire standpoint. But, yeah, something to keep an eye on if JK becomes the lead back there in Baltimore, like I believe he should, like seems like everybody believes he should. You're in for, again, another beautiful surprise if you for the J.K. Dobbins owners out there. Like myself, for a guy that made you keep on your team all year, we're hoping that he can start to pay off. So with that being said, let's move to the waiver wire. And again, we're doing this a little different this week, guys. Normally, I give you a handful of guys that I think can really help your team moving into the future. Future's gone. We're playing for 1 week, and it's about what running back do you need, what receiver do you need, tight end, who you going up against. It's not just about you anymore. It's about the matchups. It's about your opponent. So wanted to talk about a couple individuals again. If you need a wide receiver, you're going to get my wide receiver, my pick. But if it's running back you're going after, this is where I'm sitting here today. You got Cam Akers, you got J.K. Dobbins, who, based on a report I read earlier in the day, are still 50% unowned across Yahoo, ESPN leagues. Again, I don't play in any of those leagues. So they're off. But if Cam Akers or J.K. Dobbins is available in a league, you add them right away. Like I've said for the last 2 weeks, it's quite possible those two guys could be league winners. The Rams look pretty sure that Cam is going to be their guy. He's finally healthy. He got the most touches. He looked the best. He looked explosive. That Cam Akers could win some leagues this year. Again, not guaranteed because they still share the ball. Nobody's hurt. Pass the ball quite a bit as well. But I like what I see out of Cam Akers, and I'm really hoping I like what I see out of J.K. Dobbins. Those guys are going to be must-adds going into next weekend. Another guy, J.D. McKissick and Adrian Peterson. My expectation is that DeAndre Swift is back this week. Can't guarantee it. He did clear concussion protocol last week, so I was really kind of expecting to see him possibly this weekend. But Peterson's been good. He's been getting the goal line touches. He's been getting 10 to 15 carries for 50 yards. He's been putting in the touch, so it's hard to say. Again, if you're in need of touches, McKissick is more out of the going to get more of the catches for you. PPR. He's definitely worth owning. If you're going up against an Antonio Gibson owner, he's definitely worth owning. If you're going up against a DeAndre Swift owner, Adrian Peterson's worth owning. So again, looking to box out your opponents here. Those are two guys that I'm pretty high on going into this weekend, just based on what I've seen. Again, if DeAndre Swift is playing, Antonio Gibson's playing, it's going to severely hurt those guys' value. But those are the unknowns. It's only Tuesday, so I got to talk about what I know on Tuesday. And then finally, rounding it out here, Ty Johnson. As I've stated multiple times, never own a New York Jets running back, but I take it back for a couple weeks here. Ty Johnson, if Frank Gore's out, he looks like he's going to get 25 touches. Sam Darnold looks like he's throwing the ball to the right guys. They're moving the ball down the field. They didn't win the game. They should have won the game. I don't mind Ty Johnson. If you absolutely need a running back, if your opponent absolutely needs a running back, it's a good chance he's going to be going after Ty Johnson. There's a good chance Ty Johnson's the best running back left on your waiver wire board. If you can block it, I recommend blocking it. So that's where we're standing with the running backs, guys. It's an important position going into this weekend, and hey, it can really set you apart. Again, nothing's guaranteed. How you look at it, you need them. Even if you don't need them, if you can dump somebody you've kept all year that's not playing, don't leave any duds or guys on IR, people on your bench that are absolutely not going to be playing or putting up any points this weekend. It's just not worth it. You don't need two defenses. You don't need two kickers. You might not even, I don't think you need two quarterbacks at this point. So play defense when it comes to blocking some of these guys from your opponents.
Cool. So had another question for you. So do you see anyone taking the lead for the Bills or the 49ers backfields at this time?
I have no trust in either the Bills or the 49ers backfields. And this is coming from a Raheem Mostert owner that has held on to him all year long. Again, I think Raheem is the best running back on that team, but they love the timeshare. The Bills, again, Zach Moss and Singletary have both had the chances to take over the backfields. They haven't. And so the question here is how bad do you need to play one of these guys? I'm flexing a guy like Mostert. I'm flexing a guy like Singletary, maybe if I have to. But Mostert's probably the only guy out of either of those backfields that I'm even questioning putting into my lineup this weekend. I'm probably not going to have Mostert in my lineup this weekend. There's a lot of, I have better options. It's a bummer. I think the guy is really electric, but hey, the 49ers are struggling. We're not sure what we're going to see out of them. And yeah, another one that we'll see after tonight, the Baltimore Ravens. If Dobbins doesn't take the clear lead, I don't have trust in starting anybody in that backfield. It's just too questionable. They can give the goal line carries to Gus. They can give the goal line carries to Ingram. And Dobbins could rack up all the yards. Gus and Ingram could rack up the yards, and they could give the goal line carries to Dobbins. Which doesn't make any sense from a continuity standpoint. So unless we see something different tonight, the three backfields, well, let's say four backfields. I'm not starting anybody from the 49ers backfield. I'm not starting anybody from the Bills backfield. I'm not starting anybody in the Atlanta Falcons backfield, and I'm not starting anybody in the Ravens backfield unless we see J.K. Dobbins come out ahead this week.
Cool. So let's move on to the wide receivers real quick, mainly because I need a wide receiver. T.Y. Hilton finally looks like he's back. Could he become a top? Blah blah blah. Could he become a top target for Watson? They look weird, anyways. Are those guys startable if you scoop them off the wire?
It's hard to say Cootie. Cootie.
Yeah, I thought it was like cutie for some reason. I'm like, wait, that's not right.
Yeah, you're such a cutie out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll dive into that in a minute because I want to talk about some of our injuries first, and I want to get I want to be able to have a good response because I do think that these could be the best two guys that the waiver wire's seen since maybe week 5 or 6. But let's start with the injured. Julio Jones, perennial injury report. Played last weekend, was awesome. The guy's a freaking stud. If he's playing, he's in your lineup. You know that. DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel are out. Oh, baby. There's a huge outbreak in the Carolina Panthers organization. Keep an eye on that. DJ Moore is out. Chris Samuel's out. Robbie Anderson becomes extremely valuable in that offense. Again, not as valuable as Christian McCaffrey, who might have 15 catches this weekend. So if you do your prop betting, if you play DraftKings, if whatever you do with your time, if you need to know who is probably going to catch the most balls this weekend, it's going to be Christian McCaffrey, followed by Austin Eckler. I don't think a wide receiver has the most catches this weekend, just with what's going on there in Carolina. Kenny Galladay, it's not looking good. Haven't seen a positive report come out. He can come back from the IR this week. Their season's kind of shot. He's in a contract year. There's just a lot to risk this time. If he comes back healthy, there's a lot out there. I don't like the chances of Galladay coming back. Marvin Jones has been good. I don't know if Galladay will sit himself out or if the Lions will decide to sit him out, with hopes that they get him signed long term. But he's not a guy I love this week, not a guy I like seeing. I think we will see the rest of the year, which is a real bummer. I really like Kenny Galladay. I think he's going to be a great player in this league. Hope he doesn't stay with the Lions. His career is going to end there. But yeah, let's jump back to the question at hand. Kiki Kuti and T.Y. Hilton. Two of the best names that we got in football. Kiki was on my list last week, guys. If you need a receiver, he's got to take a shot on. T.Y. Hilton, he's actually played all year. It might not feel like he is. He's only missed a couple of games. He has been a little banged up. He's a guy that he suffers from lower body, hamstring and ankle injuries. But he looks pretty good in that Colts offense. The Colts offense is also starting to look pretty good itself. So I'm putting T.Y. Hilton. He's got the past. T.Y. Hilton's won people their fantasy football leagues. He's been a great wide receiver one. He's not the wide receiver one on this team, though, I don't think. I think the wide receiver one on this team is Michael Pittman. And I think that's why Hilton's getting the good looks. So it could continue. It is a tad risky, but he's got 2 good weeks back to back. And then you got Kiki Kuti, who has become, Watson needed a go-to guy when Fuller went out. He was on. Just like I said, Deshaun Watson's playing as good as any quarterback in the league right now, and that's oftentimes more important than how good the wide receiver is playing. I like both of these guys equally, so I'm having a tough time saying who I would want to move forward with. Right off the cuff, probably going Kiki. But again, you give me 2 good arguments, and I could say I want to take Ty on the wide before. So it's interesting. I think that I am definitely trusting both of these guys in a flex spot. And the only reason I'm saying I kind of like Kiki a little bit more because I think he's the true number 1 there in Houston for a team that has really not much to play for. They're trying to win some games. Deshaun Watson's just bummed. He's slanging that ball all around the field. I like Kuti again. He can go deep. He's a great receiver. He's got size. He scored a touchdown. It's hard to say. Ty can be a game breaker. Guy can take a slant for 80 yards. But I recommend don't take don't take what I say there. I think I like both those guys. I think both of those guys are going to be relevant here for the next 3 weeks. It's very exciting because we haven't seen much on the waiver wire here. But those are 2 guys I like a lot. Third guy I like a lot, just below those guys, is Tim Patrick. He has been horribly underowned all year long. I'll be honest, I'll be the first one to say I've owned him and dropped him, owned him and dropped him, owned him and dropped him. He, I think, is the number 1 in Denver. Judy is not taken up, not stepped up. He's not been the go-to guy. Tim Patrick's been that guy. I don't mind starting Tim Patrick in a flex this week. I don't mind starting him in an area for a DJ Moore, if you're hurting a wide receiver. I like him a little bit more than guys like Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown because he's catching touchdowns. Those guys aren't getting the touchdowns. Mike Evans is taking all the touchdowns, from a receiver standpoint, and Gronk is taking the tight end touchdowns there in Tampa Bay. So some hot takes with Tim Patrick. I like some of his matchups coming up here over week 14, 15, 16. I like that Drew Lock likes Tim Patrick. I like that the Denver Broncos are likely going to be playing from behind every game. The running backs haven't come out too strong. So, again, another guy that I'm adding if I'm later in the waiver wire, I think he can make your team better. I'd rather see him on my bench than in my opponent's flex position.
Awesome. And then some final thoughts. What are your thoughts on the tight ends and defenses?
Well, it wouldn't be an all-encompassing primer if we didn't go over some tight ends and the defense. I'll start right here. I'll follow the defense here. We got Cleveland Browns defense. If they're out there, go at them. Aside from that, look at the matchups. You might be streaming here over the next 3 weeks. But I like the Browns. I've been talking about the Browns since about week 7. They are a very viable championship, winning your championship based on forcing fumbles, interceptions. They got Myles Garrett back. I've never said this many positive things about the Browns, but the Browns look like they could be for real. Again, last week they could have scored 8 more points. I think if the game was any closer, but they went into basically bend don't break against the Titans. Once they were up 38-3 at halftime. As a defense, you're going to rest. You're not going to take any risks. You're not going to you're not going to blitz as much. If that's a closer game, I like the chances of the Browns holding on to their score. They're going to be in a lot less. They're going to face a lot worse offenses here the next 3 weeks. For that reason, go out and get the Browns. Tight ends. We're in the weirdest year of tight ends. It's been one of those years where I thought coming in, man, there's 12 guys that are startable tight ends week in, week out. And I was right, but for the wrong reason. There's 12, there's one guy that stood out, Travis Kelce. He's, third in the league in receiving. He's got just as many touchdowns as some of the top guys. He is a wide receiver. He's drafted like it. He plays the tight end spot. It's a great plus to have when you have to go up against someone else's tight end. Aside from that, Darren Waller, he put up 38.5 last week. You're not going to get that every week. He's my number 2 tight end. But After that, it really drops off. From 3 to 15, it's really a freaking toss-up, guys. Take a look at the matchups. Take a look at what you got out there. I like Hawkinson and Jasicki. I think those guys are really coming on here late in the season. They got their big bodies. They catch touchdowns. They can play that slot. They can run up the seam. Those are guys. Again, I'll be honest. I went after Jasicki here a couple weeks ago. He's treated me well. But if you don't like what you got Logan Thomas out there who just had a monster game against the Steelers. He's not going to do that every week. But again, a guy like that, putting up 15 points a week and winning your league at tight end. Winning the tight end this year, I think, is averaging like 4.6. Mark Andrews has had COVID. Hayden Hurst has been a bust. Jonnu Smith has been out. If he's out, Ferkser can slip in for him, score a touchdown. These guys are going to be really touchdown dependent. You got Dalton Schultz in Dallas, who's a pretty solid target. He's he's the first look as well as the dump down. The Cowboys have, we know they're not great. They're going to be playing from behind. He's been a guy that saw the targets. He's better with Andy Dalton under center. If you're in a bad place, guys like Jasicki, Logan Thomas, Dalton Schultz could be available. Jordan Reed is a guy that's getting 10 targets a game. Only thing about Jordan Reed that scares me, George Kittle could be coming back. He keeps saying he's coming back. I don't know why he would ever come back, but he's pretty dead set on coming back by week 16. And so, hey, it could be a time of the year where you're putting a couple tight ends on your bench trying to play matchups. That's what I'm doing. I like my receivers. I like my running backs. I like my quarterback. My tight end's a big question mark. So I'm doubling down, and that's how I'm approaching the tight ends. But aside from that, guys, hey, it's been a lot of fun. I hope if this is the last week you get a chance to join, then hey, it's been a fun ride. Best of luck to all of you guys. Richard included in the playoffs this weekend. I will be back next week either way for an even probably tighter show to see where we're at. But this should give you some good ideas on how to play out the rest of the year. I want control what you can control. You're not able to control much in fantasy football. You don't know the game plans. We're not in practices, but we can start our studs. We can look at the weather. We can look at the other players' matchups. We can play the waiver wire strategically. And hey, most importantly, what I want to leave you guys with: make a decision that you're not going to hate, please. Don't make a decision to stick with it. Don't change last minute. You'll hate yourself if you end up losing because you switched last minute. So do your homework. Again, legwork's done by 100 analysts out there, including myself. Take it all in. Take in the data. Make an educated decision. Stick with it, and ride with it. And if you win, you win. If you lose, hey, you at least put some time into making the best pick for yourself. So that's where I'll leave it off here, Rich. It's been a pleasure today. I wish you the best of luck, and we'll catch up with you next weekend.
Awesome. Yeah. So just follow us on Twitter, SYSSFF Lifeline. Be sure to check us out. We're on most of the time there's an NFL game on. We'll tweet out all the touchdowns and all that. And then this Sunday, if you have any questions, tweet out Jay Baller. He'll definitely answer them at 10:30 for your start and set of recommendations if you have any for playoffs. So, all right, guys, we'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.
See you guys.